It's the first week of May and it's time for another garden update. Not a whole lot has changed, but I'll try to go over the few things that have changed and try not to repeat too much stuff. The petunias and the hollow logs are all starting to bloom now, but they're pretty beaten up from the heavy rains that we've had. We've had just rain storms, really hard rain. I've been covering stuff up, the smaller plants, just to protect them from the hard rains and small hail. But I have a few things coming up now that weren't coming up before. Like we have a few small zinnias coming up there. And the tomato plants are starting to grow. I didn't cover these, and there's a little bit of damage to some of the plants that I didn't cover, but there are a few plants. Let's just go over and look at some of these peppers real quick. I won't go over the list of what we have and what we don't till I'm pretty sure what will make it. But some of these smaller pepper plants were just laying on the ground, and you can see some of the leaves are kind of damaged. So I'm not sure how many will make it. I'm guessing probably 80 to 90% will make it, but there'll be a few that won't. We've got orioles coming to our feeders. We usually see those the last part of April. Here's a look at some of the mushrooms that show up just about every morning in the straw bales. I don't eat those. Those are poisonous, I'm assuming. We have sweet potatoes planted at the base of all the straw bales. This one is called purple Molokai, I believe. I'll put it up on the screen in case I butchered the pronunciation. Then we have some Okinawan purples down here, but at the base of every straw bale I have a couple of sweet potatoes. And I'm using those as a crop / ground cover. They worked really well to keep the Bermuda grass out of this wood chips last year, so that's what I'm using them for. The tomatoes really haven't started to grow yet. It's been just too cold and too wet. I mean, we're getting way more rain than we need. We have lots more coming, so just have to deal with what comes. Sweet potatoes, they're doing pretty well. Got the plastic forks to keep the cats out. Let's go down here and look at the bananas. This is the Musa Basjoo. This one's probably 10 inches tall now. Starting to get a true leaf coming out. Some of these new pups are starting to get leaves on them. So those will really take off soon. And I keep noticing small pups sticking up here and there. So lots of growth, but even real tiny ones. But the main mother plant shows no sign of growth, and one of the 5 pups shows no sign of growth, but it's still got lots of life in it, and it'll be really taking off as soon as we get some warm weather, because we've had plenty of rain. That Musa velutinus, it's kind of just now starting to perk up a little, along with that one over there. I planted a new pineapple sage this year. It's just now starting to grow, and our original sage is starting to produce some flower buds on it. But the stuff back here is really doing well. And then I have more jars down here, and these are to protect them from birds. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a Mongolian giant sunflower. I planted 3 seeds in each spot. The birds pull the leaves off of those 2. I was lucky to get that one. covered before they got to it. And that's kind of the way it is in about every spot. That one's even got some damage to it before I got it covered. But I'm just going to keep these covered until they're big enough. Seems like the birds don't bother them once they get a couple of sets of leaves on them. But I have 3 Titans, 3 Mongolian Giants, and 4 Mexican sunflowers. The corn's really coming up well. I planted 3 seeds in each location, and I did that just to make sure I got 1 plant in each spot. And as you can see, most of them, all 3 came up, but some of them only 2. Then I have a couple of spots where I only have 1 that came up, so I'm glad that I planted 3 in each spot. And I'll be removing the extra ones soon. I'm going to just let them grow a little bit, see which one looks like it's doing best. In the same row with the yacon, I planted some Desi Squash down here, and I marked the locations with the sticks till they come up. This whole row here are the Oda hybrids, F2 generation. Should be a lot of variation in this generation. I think I have 10 plants. They're kind of crowded, but I just want to get a sample from lots of different seeds. So I want to show you some of the difference in the foliage. As you can see, that's kind of a light green because it hasn't been getting much sun. But if we go down here a ways, we got one there that's got some purple in the leaves. And so do a couple over here. Just a little bit of purplish tint showing up in them. And I'm thinking because of that, the other parent besides the Oda might have been a Black Hungarian, because they have some dark foliage. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Really looking forward to seeing how these turn out. This is a goji berry that I planted from seed, and this is a goji berry cutting that I took when I repotted our goji berry. I've got a video I'll be putting up soon on that whole process. And here's our repotted goji berry. It's looking great. It's growing lots more than it did last year at this stage. So I'm thinking it might even need a bigger pot. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Down here near the hollow logs, I also planted some Dickinson's pumpkins. They haven't come up yet, but I mainly planted those because of their resistance to the vine borers. So we'll see if they do as well as the green striped cushaws did last year. I also planted some squash back here by the fence. I'm going to let those grow up on a string trellis. I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, so I'll have to put that up on the screen, but I'm looking forward to trying these. They should also be resistant to the vine borers. Our efforts to help the monarchs are going pretty well. This is one of our common milkweed plants, and it's starting to take off pretty good. It's really liking the rainy weather we've had. Then I have a yellow type of butterfly flower or butterfly weed, and then over there we have orange. According to the tags on these, the yellow one's supposed to get a lot taller. I'm not sure why, but it'll be interesting to see how they do. Last week I didn't include the ornamental peppers, so I think I'll just give you a quick rundown on those right now. This one here I bought as a plant. It's called a Hot Pop Purple Ornamental Pepper. And it only gets about 5 inches tall. It's got blooms all on it already, so it'll be getting peppers on it very soon. Then we have Medusa right next to it. And then these two aren't growing as well as the rest of them. These are poinsettias. Then these are purple flash. Those have some interesting foliage that can be purple with splotches of green and white all at the same time. And we have explosive ember. I grew those last year. They're a really pretty pepper. I'm going to be topping these pretty soon, I think. They've got about 4 or 5 sets of leaves. I'll top them for the first time here pretty soon. These are New Mex Easter ornamental peppers. And that one's kind of beaten down from the rain, I think. I might have to try to prop it up and try to keep from breaking it. Then we have black pearl. I grew those last year too, and those are a really nice looking ornamental pepper. The irises are starting to bloom, and I'll be hand pollinating some of those soon. That's kind of a hobby of mine. I like to produce some new varieties. It's just a fascinating thing for me. Here's a few more irises. I don't know if you could hear that in the background, but that was an oriole. These are especially pretty, I think, with the white streaks and the purple flowers. There's a quick look at the Baltimore oriole that we just heard a bit ago. We just use plain old grape jelly in those. That's a quick look at what we have going on right now. If you're just now finding this channel, please subscribe. That way you can follow along and see how this turns out.